Have you ever felt like a candle burning at both ends, giving everything you have until there's barely a flicker left? If this sounds familiar, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into ancient wisdom that will help you escape the vicious cycle of burnout and show you how to shine even brighter, not just for others, but for yourself. Welcome, warriors of the modern world. You're here because you're different. You care deeply, you give freely, and you often wonder, am I doing enough? Here's the truth. Caring for others at the expense of yourself isn't noble. It's a recipe for disaster. Today, we'll explore the delicate art of balancing kindness with self-care by tapping into the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. This ancient philosophy has the power to transform your life in today's chaotic world. Chapter 1. The Cost of Overgiving. Imagine holding a cup. This cup represents your energy, your time, your very essence. Now picture yourself constantly pouring from this cup to fill others. Friends, family, colleagues, they all come to you with empty cups, and without hesitation, you pour and pour and pour. It feels good, doesn't it? Being the one everyone relies on, the rock in the storm. But here's the kicker. What happens when your cup runs dry? What happens when you reach for that last drop of energy and find nothing? This, my friends, is the dangerous path of overgiving. It's a trap that ensnares the best of us. We sacrifice sleep, self-care, and even our sanity at the altar of others' needs. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor, believing it proves our worth. But here's the harsh truth. Constant self-sacrifice isn't sustainable, nor is it truly helpful. When we're running on empty, the quality of our help diminishes. We become irritable, resentful, and even bitter. Is that the version of yourself you want to offer the world? This is where Stoicism comes in with its timeless wisdom. Epictetus, who was once enslaved and later became a philosopher, famously said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." In other words, true strength isn't about giving everything away. It's about recognizing and appreciating your resources and using them wisely. The Stoics understood that self-care isn't selfish. It's essential. To be truly helpful and kind, you must ensure your own cup is full. Story: The Burned Out Helper. Let me share a personal story. There was a time when I was the person everyone turned to. I was there for every friend in need, every family emergency, and every work crisis. At first it felt good. I felt needed and important. But over time, I noticed something troubling. I started to resent the very people I cared about. I was snapping at friends, losing sleep, and feeling utterly drained. One day, I received a call from a close friend who needed my help, and I found myself hesitating. Not because I didn't care, but because I simply had nothing left to give. That moment was a wake-up call. I realized that giving without boundaries wasn't just harming me. It was diminishing the quality of my support for others. I began exploring Stoicism, and its principles helped me set boundaries and prioritize self-care. The transformation was incredible. I could still be there for others, but I was no longer sacrificing myself in the process. I became more patient, more compassionate, and ironically, more capable of giving. Ask yourself, how full is your cup right now? Are you pouring from a place of abundance, or are you scraping the bottom, giving others nothing but the dried remnants of your former vitality? It's time to flip the script, learn the art of sustainable giving, and discover how setting boundaries and prioritizing self-care can make you more generous, impactful, and infinitely more fulfilled. Chapter 2. The Lush Garden of Self-Care. Picture two gardens side by side. One is a lush paradise, bursting with vibrant flowers and ripe fruit. The other is withered, overgrown with weeds barely clinging to life. Now ask yourself, which gardener has more to offer their community? This, my friends, is the essence of Stoic self-care. Tending your garden first is not selfish. It's necessary. It enables you to truly help others in a sustainable way. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Your self-care isn't an obstacle to generosity. It's the very path to sustainable kindness. By nurturing your well-being, you create an abundance from which to give. You're not depleting yourself. You're sharing your overflow. This is the Stoic perspective on sustainable help. A thriving garden doesn't just feed its owner. It provides beauty for passers-by, shelter for wildlife, and a harvest to share with neighbors. It becomes a source of inspiration and nourishment for the entire community. So I challenge you, be that garden. Cultivate your strengths, nourish your mind, tend to your emotional health, and create a wellspring of vitality that naturally overflows to those around you. Chapter 3. The Joy of True Generosity. Let's dive into the heart of true generosity. Not the kind that leaves you drained and resentful, but the kind that fills you up and lights you from within. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, taught that true giving comes without expectation of return. It's not a transaction or a debt to be repaid. It's a pure expression of your values and your humanity. When you give without strings attached, something magical happens. You tap into a wellspring of joy beyond the fleeting pleasure of receiving gratitude or recognition. The act itself becomes the reward. Modern psychology backs this up. Studies show that selfless giving activates the pleasure centers in our brain, reduces stress, and increases overall well-being. But here's the crucial part. This only works when the giving is voluntary, not compelled by guilt or obligation. Story. The anonymous donor. Consider the story of a man who anonymously donated to a struggling family in his neighborhood. He didn't want recognition or gratitude. He simply saw a need and had the means to help. The family, unaware of who helped them, went on to thrive, and the man felt a profound sense of joy and purpose. He found fulfillment not in the family's gratitude, but in knowing he had made a difference. Here's a practice for you. Next time you have the opportunity to give, do it anonymously. Whether it's a kind deed, a donation, or a helping hand, do it without anyone knowing it was you. Feel the difference when you give without any possibility of recognition or return. That's the power of true generosity. By embracing this Stoic principle, you'll find that generosity becomes not a duty, but a source of profound fulfillment. You'll give not because you must, but because you can't imagine doing otherwise. Chapter 4. Mastering the Art of Boundaries. We've talked about giving. Now let's tackle one of the most crucial skills in your Stoic toolkit, the art of saying no. Epictetus wisely noted, if you don't wish to be a hothead, don't feed your habit. Try as a first step to remain calm and count the days you haven't been angry. Now replace angry with overwhelmed, and you've got a powerful Stoic technique for boundary setting. It's about recognizing what feeds your stress and consciously choosing not to indulge it. Saying no isn't about being selfish or unkind. It's about being honest with yourself and others. It's about recognizing your limits and honoring them. It's an act of integrity. Story. The Overcommitted Apprentice. Consider this story. A young apprentice took on every task his master gave him, never refusing. He worked tirelessly, impressing everyone with his dedication. But when a crucial project came, he was too exhausted to complete it effectively. The master said, in trying to do everything, you fail to do what truly matters. This is the pitfall of excessive help. By saying yes to everything, we dilute our ability to make a real impact where it counts. We spread ourselves too thin, and everyone loses. Practice discernment. Before you say yes to any request, ask yourself, is this aligned with my values? Can I give this my best effort? Will this leave me with enough energy for my true priorities? Remember, every yes is implicitly a no to something else. When you say yes to staying late at work, you might be saying no to quality time with your family. When you say yes to a friend's every request, you might be saying no to your own needs. Choose wisely. Your time and energy are precious resources. Allocate them with the same care you'd give to any valuable asset. You're not closing yourself off from the world by mastering the art of saying no. You're opening yourself up to saying a wholehearted yes to what truly matters. This is the path to living with purpose and impact. The very essence of Stoic wisdom. Chapter 5. The Dance of Balance. Now let's tackle the art of balance, a concept as old as philosophy, yet as relevant as your last notification. Though not a Stoic, Aristotle gave us the golden mean. the sweet spot between extremes. In our context, it balances selfless giving and rigid self-protection. Imagine a tightrope walker. Lean too far in either direction, and you'll fall. The key is constant, mindful adjustment. First, conduct a life audit. List your commitments, your goals, and your daily activities. Ruthlessly categorize them. What fills you up and what drains you? What aligns with your values and what's just noise? Next, embrace the power of hell yes or no. When faced with a request or opportunity, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. This simple rule can transform your life, freeing up energy for what truly matters. But balance isn't just about managing external demands, it's about internal harmony too. The Stoics taught ataraxia, the tranquility of the soul. Cultivate this through daily reflection. Ask yourself, am I living by my values? Am I growing or just going through the motions? Remember, balance isn't a destination, it's a journey. You'll wobble and sometimes fall. The key is to keep adjusting and keep learning. Story, the overworked parent. Take the story of a parent who juggled a demanding job, community commitments, and raising their children. They constantly felt they weren't doing enough anywhere, and the weight of their obligations kept them up at night. After a health scare, they decided it was time for a change. They started by reducing their workload and setting aside non-negotiable family time each evening. The result? They were happier, more present with their children, and actually more productive at work. This parent found that by letting go of the need to be everything to everyone, they were finally able to give their best where it mattered most. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Find joy in the process of creating balance. Celebrate small wins. Learn from missteps. By mastering this balance, you're not only improving your life, but also setting an example for others. You're showing that being kind, successful, and at peace is possible. This, my friends, is practical wisdom in action. Chapter 6, The Power of Self-Respect. Now let's dive deep into a concept that can revolutionize your life, the transformative power of self-respect and boundaries. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the cornerstone of setting healthy boundaries. Understand this. Boundaries aren't walls. They're bridges to healthier relationships with others and yourself. Here's your action plan. 1. Define your non-negotiables. What are your core values? What behaviors will you not tolerate? Write them down. Make them real. 2. Communicate clearly. No hints, no passive aggression. State your boundaries with calm confidence. Remember, you're not asking for permission. You're stating a fact. 3. Prepare for pushback. When you start setting boundaries, some people won't like it. That's okay. Their reaction is about them, not you. Practice self-compassion. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first. Be kind to yourself as you learn and grow. 5. Celebrate small wins. Each time you honor your boundaries, you're building self-respect. Acknowledge that. Story, the assertive professional. Imagine a young professional who used to say yes to every extra task her manager handed her. She worked late nights, often skipped meals, and was always stressed. After learning about Stoicism, she decided to set boundaries. The next time her manager piled on more work, she respectfully explained her current workload and suggested an alternative timeline. To her surprise, her manager appreciated her honesty and began to respect her time more. By setting clear boundaries, she not only improved her own well-being, but also enhanced her professional reputation as someone who knows her limits and communicates effectively. Now let's address a common fear. Won't setting boundaries make me selfish? Absolutely not. Healthy boundaries make you a better friend, partner, and colleague. Why? Because you're showing up as your authentic self, not a resentful, burnt-out shell. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Most of the negative consequences we fear from setting boundaries never materialize. Instead, we gain respect from others and ourselves. Remember, you teach people how to treat you. By respecting yourself enough to set and maintain boundaries, you're creating a template for all your relationships. You're not just changing your life, you're influencing your entire social ecosystem. This is true strength. This is genuine kindness. This is the path to becoming the best version of yourself. Chapter 7. The Ripple Effect of Self-Care. Now let's explore one of the most potent concepts in personal development, the ripple effect of self-improvement. Imagine dropping a stone into a still pond. The ripples spread outward, affecting the entire surface. That's what happens when you start prioritizing self-care and setting healthy boundaries. Pema Chodron once said, "What you do for yourself, any gesture of kindness, any gesture of gentleness, any gesture of honesty and clear seeing toward yourself, will affect how you experience your world." Let's break this down. 1. Modeling behavior. When you respect your boundaries, you teach others to do the same. Your actions speak louder than words. 2. Increase capacity. By taking care of yourself, you have more to give to others, and your generosity becomes sustainable. 3. Authenticity. When you're true to yourself, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes contagious. 4th, improved relationships. Clear boundaries lead to more transparent communication and deeper connections. 5. Positive energy. Self-care isn't selfish. It's a way of bringing your best self to every interaction. Here's a challenge for you. For the next week, commit to one daily act of self-care and one instance of setting a clear boundary. Notice how it affects your interactions. Notice how people respond to the more authentic, energized you. You might face resistance at first. Change can be uncomfortable for you and others. But stay the course. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Remember, you're not just changing your life. You're creating a new standard for your community. You're showing that it's possible to be kind without being a doormat and successful without burning out. This is how real change happens, not through grand gestures, but through consistent, authentic living, one person at a time, creating ripples that eventually become waves. You have more influence than you realize. Your journey toward balance and self-respect can be the catalyst someone else needs to start their journey. So I ask you, are you ready to create those ripples? Are you prepared to be the change you want to see in your world? Chapter 8. The Renewal of Rest. We often glorify hard work, hustle, and grit, but neglect one of the most essential components of sustainable success: rest. The Stoics understood the importance of taking time to rest and renew oneself. Rest is not laziness. It is the necessary foundation upon which meaningful action is built. Think about an athlete. They push their bodies to the limit, but they also know that without proper rest, their performance will suffer. The same principle applies to you. Your mind, body, and spirit need time to recharge. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "People look for retreats for themselves in the country, by the coast, or in the hills. There is nowhere that a person can find a more peaceful and trouble-free retreat than in his own mind." Create a daily practice of rest and reflection, whether it's meditation, a walk in nature, or simply sitting in silence. Find what renews you. Rest isn't something to be earned after you're exhausted. It's something to be embraced as part of your routine so that you can live with greater purpose and clarity. Chapter 9. The Courage to be Imperfect. Perfectionism is one of the biggest obstacles to self-care. We feel that if we aren't perfect, we aren't worthy of rest, of kindness, of anything. But the Stoics teach us that perfection is an illusion. We are all works in progress, and our worth is not determined by flawless performance. Seneca once said, "No man was ever wise by chance. Wisdom, growth, and fulfillment are processes, not endpoints." By embracing imperfection, you give yourself permission to be human. You stop equating your value with your productivity or success, and instead see yourself as inherently worthy. Story: The Perfectionist's Awakening. Here's a personal story. I used to struggle with perfectionism. Every mistake felt like a catastrophe, and I pushed myself to exhaustion trying to avoid them. But over time, I learned that the moments of failure were my greatest teachers. By giving myself grace, I found the courage to take risks, to fail, and to grow. Imperfection became my ally, not my enemy. Ask yourself, where are you holding yourself to an unrealistic standard? How can you allow more grace and acceptance in those areas? The courage to be imperfect is what frees us to truly thrive. Chapter 10. The Gift of Presence. In our increasingly fast-paced and distracted world, one of the most valuable gifts we can give is our full presence. The Stoics emphasize the importance of being present in each moment, of giving our attention to what truly matters and letting go of distractions that pull us away from our purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." To be fully present, we must cultivate mindfulness. Whether we are spending time with a loved one, working on a task, or simply taking a walk, our ability to be fully there, in body and mind, shapes the quality of our experiences. Think about the last time you were with someone who gave you their undivided attention. How did that make you feel? The power of presence is transformative. It deepens our relationships, improves our work, and connects us to the joy of simply being alive. Practices to cultivate presence. 1. Limit distractions. Set boundaries around technology use. When spending time with loved ones, put your phone away and be fully there. 2. Mindful breathing. Take moments throughout the day to focus on your breath. It helps ground you in the present. 3. Single tasking. Instead of multitasking, focus on one thing at a time. Give it your full attention, and notice how the quality of your work and satisfaction improves. The value of presence cannot be overstated. It is in the moments when we are fully engaged that life is truly lived. Presence is the gateway to deeper connection, greater fulfillment, and true inner peace. Chapter 11. The Strength of Vulnerability. We often think of strength as the ability to withstand hardship without showing weakness. But true strength, as the Stoics understood it, lies in embracing vulnerability. It's about acknowledging our fears, insecurities, and limitations, and choosing to move forward anyway. Brené Brown, a researcher who has extensively studied vulnerability, says, "Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome." The Stoics would agree. They believed in facing life's uncertainties with courage and honesty, rather than hiding behind a facade of invincibility. To be vulnerable is to be human. It allows us to connect deeply with others, to inspire them by showing that they are not alone in their struggles. It takes courage to say, "I'm not perfect, I'm scared, I need help." And yet, it is in these moments of openness that we find true strength and forge real connections. Embrace vulnerability. Identify an area of your life where you've been afraid to show vulnerability. What would happen if you allowed yourself to be open in that area? How might it change your relationships, your work, or your sense of self? Embracing vulnerability is not about oversharing or seeking pity. It's about acknowledging your humanity and inviting others to do the same. In our vulnerability, we find the strength to connect, to grow, and to thrive. Embrace the path of Stoic strength. Remember, as Theodore Roosevelt said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena." You are that person in the arena. You're not just surviving this chaotic world. You're learning to thrive in it. You're becoming the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. This path isn't for the faint of heart. It demands courage, discipline, and unwavering commitment. But the rewards, they're beyond measure. As you step out into the world armed with these Stoic principles, know this: you're not just changing yourself, you're becoming a beacon of strength for others, a rock in the storm. Jocko Willink, a modern Stoic warrior, puts it bluntly: discipline equals freedom. Your newfound self-discipline, boundaries, and self-respect are the tools that will set you free. So here's your mission, should you choose to accept it. Take action. Today. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now. Embrace discomfort. Growth lives outside your comfort zone. Lead by example. Be the change you want to see in the world. Rest and renew. Make rest a part of your routine, not a reward for burnout. Embrace imperfection. Allow yourself to be human. Learn from mistakes and keep moving forward. Cultivate presence. Be fully present in every moment. Limit distractions, breathe mindfully, and give your full attention to what matters. Embrace vulnerability. Have the courage to show up as you are, without hiding behind a mask. Remember, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. So stop imagining and start doing. You've got this. We believe in you. The Stoic community has your back. Now go out there and show the world what true strength looks like. Not just physical strength, but mental toughness, emotional resilience, and unshakable integrity. This is your moment. Seize it. And if you're hungry for more wisdom, challenges, and growth, you know where to find us. The Stoic community is always here, ready to fuel your journey to greatness. Stay strong, stay stoic, and never ever give up on becoming the best version of yourself.